Yo, people, if you do not recognize this awesome family on screen right now, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Right? We spoke to them last year about the incredible Hellbounder, and we have them again for their new joint. I'm talking about, the family everyone wants to be a part of is the Adams. Yo, we got Toby, John, Zelda, and Lulu. People, thank you for stopping by.
Hey,
Thanks for
Kevin.
having us today, Kevin.
Hey, no problem. Yo, this new, what I mean? I love the last film, right? I love the last film. So it's, what I mean? Like, it's waiting for that next joint to pop. And there's always that, is it going to be good? Is it going to be as good? Like, I want to talk to him about it, but you know what I mean? Is it? And yo, you killed it. You killed it with this new joint.
That means so much to us. We just let this dog out, and comments like that are fire for the rocket. Thank you.
No, man, I honestly loved it. Because you know what I mean, it's one of those things, right? When you're talking to people, you want to be respectful, because regardless of how you feel about something, people put their heart and soul into it. Like like I think people watch these things and think, oh well, what, they made it last week and now it's here. Like it can take years to put these things together, you know what I mean? And even if the shoot itself is just like, say, 10 days or something, the actual post-production, pre-production, just all those minutiae of it all, that's time. But yeah, I just think when you can actually just wholeheartedly talk about how great something is, that's always the joy of these conversations. And from the giddy up, I have to say, it's creepy as fuck, man. I just want to look inside your head, because yo, it's the way this film opened with the, we got the Master of Ceremony and the haunting poem. And then we get that opening little scene, and you just hear first of all, you're hearing the squishy noise. I'm just like, what the fuck is that? And then you're like, oh shit. Oh, that's what that is. But it's the cut, right? It's the cut to then the title and then going into the next part, which is just like, you're just sitting there thinking, what? Oh, no. What have I let myself in for?
Oh, yay. That's great. I'm so glad that you pointed out the little tiny blade going in and out of the parent, because it's like, that was so fun to put that sound in. And the tool that they use is actually like a leather puncher. So it's really nasty little thin piece of metal. And what was fun about it was when I was like, I gotta make the sound for this. Like, and so I started, nailing different things with it. And I just noticed, like, oh, it's such a hard sound. It's not like a knife. It doesn't bludgeon anything. It's a nasty little thing. But that sound is so sick. And that you pointed out is wonderful.
Yeah, it's. Oh, but I think there's so much detail in this film, which I love. Right? And I think that's the thing, because the story itself is great, which we need to get to, because I read somewhere it came from some weird dream Zelda had, and I'm just like, yo, kid, what are you watching before you go to bed? You know what I mean? Like, we need to fix, like, part of me wants to be like, we need to fix that, but another part is like, but we're getting this great stuff, so maybe we keep having fucked up dreams. I don't know, right? But there's like all these little details, and there's just the dinner party scene. And there's a look on Toby's face. And you're just like, when the thing is done, but there's just this look. And you're just like, yo, what the fuck? Like, it's how do you get and work out just those things? Because I think there's a level of acting, right, that I think people go to acting classes, and someone will tell you, project your voice and do this and blah blah blah. There's things that you could probably just you can pick up if you practice and practice and practice. And then there's little things like the facial expression that I feel is more, I mean, that's just in you, right? It's hard. You can't just teach that, right? There's, Lulu. Yo, when Lulu does her thing, again, it's these facial expressions, and he's like, oh my gosh, like how do you get that right? How, when you're writing these scenes and you're working things out, do you go, okay, I think you need to have this kind of look, or is this just, or do you not think about it and it just whatever comes?
So great that you point out Toby's look, because
everybody's, I mean, I think what it is, Kevin, is I don't think we talk too much about it, because then you put a lot of pressure on. Instead, I think we understand our characters to the hilt, man. And then you just, like, you're in that moment, and you just, and we have the luxury of doing things as many times as we want. And then we have the luxury of editing it. So editing the look or the take that we want. But we very much, I think, just know who our characters are. In my case, I really wanted to play Maggie. She was just in my blood and my soul, and I wanted to get under her skin. So whatever I felt after I bashed that man's head in with a cast iron skillet, it was just on my face. Was it relief? Was it joy? Was it confusion? Was it regret? I don't know. Maybe a little of all.
And Lulu had just come back from Alaska, where she had worked for 3 months chopping wood and working in a lodge. And so it's kind of like, look at this brawny kid. Here, take this axe, and here's what we're going to do. And so it's like, is it acting, or is Lulu just a complete axe murdering psychopath?
I know. They're the questions we need to ask.
Probably
not. Like, the other thing I thought was just crazy was the fact you're watching this film and it looks like you're in these huge rooms in this big space, and I saw some of the behind the scenes shots, and you're just in a small space, and it's just like, yo, you made that little space come to life like that. Because I remember last time we spoke and you were using new camera techniques and you're playing around with new stuff. So is this just an evolution of that?
Some of that is definitely thanks to our 5th honorary family member, Trey Lindsay, who does a lot of the special effects and helped us, like, use the same people. We'd swap jackets and add to, like, a crowd, and he could really put those things in there and just be totally like, yep, I can do that. And is very, like, creative and would make those things happen, as well as kind of what we're used to always doing, of just kind of making the most from the little bit that we have, low budget, rusted wood, and everything left outside looking funky, kind of doing it for us. And some cool cameras, like we got a drone and a Ronin, right?
Yeah.
Growing up, Toby's our big, she's our theater mama, taking us to Shakespeare and all these other things. And, we wanted to make this film very theatrical, and one of the ways was doing that through our camera work, setting it up on a tripod and things feeling very, like, spacious and set up in a very precise way. And even when we actually are on stage, having that be our own little special theatrical creation was very exciting.
And Trey turned us on and gave us confidence. He's, as Lulu said, our effects guy. He gave us confidence to use a green screen. We were scared of green screens because it's like, I don't know. Then computers are involved, but he gave us the confidence, and then he would paint in some backgrounds when we needed them. And his artistry, I think, is phenomenal in this movie. Every time I see him, I realize how much I love him and his artistry.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice any green screen stuff.
Right. He works so hard at making it honest. And also, we should really point out that we had our actors, like Mr. Tips, he had to do a lot of his stuff literally, like, in a place the size of a closet, because it was winter and that's all we had. And he went there and gave it his all, and he would be like, where am I, in this? And I'm like, you're on a big stage, and so he went there and he really gave it. He gave us everything he had.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see that, right? You can see that from everyone involved. Like we
Mhm.
got some really good performances. I liked as well that, with the carnival crew,
Mhm.
it was just, these were people in the car. Like you didn't try and make a huge thing about, the tattoo or anything like that. It was just like, these are our colleagues, these are our people that we're working with. And you know what I mean? I thought that's really, there's a lot of times it's just like, oh, and we've got someone with a short eye and someone with a, you know what I mean? And they're making a big thing of that when the story isn't that. The story is just these people coming together and doing something. So I just like the way, the story spoke to us.
That's really nice. We feel like we live in a carny, and we feel that we're a part of a big carny, and you're a part of that big carny. And it's like those people are a part of the big carny. So we don't want to, not, we don't want to, we're just used to them. Like
Mm,
you mentioned the tattoo lady, that's Razor, and she's our friend. And we feel her personality, and filming her is enough, but getting her to add that emotional aspect to the movie is what we want to do.
yeah, yeah. It's with this, how much came in the editing, right? How much of the story was in the storyboarding, and how much like with, no, actually, let's cut it here and let's do this, because everything just really worked really well. Just the flashbacks,
Oh,
the changing from color to black and white, just all of these different elements really work well. So I was just curious how, in what stage did all of that kind of coalesce?
We again are really lucky that we can shoot and edit that night. We always shoot and then John drops it in the computer and makes sure we have what we need. And if we don't, we can go back the next day and get it. Sometimes we have to go back several days in a row to get it exactly how we like it. So, and we never, Kevin, we never work from a fully realized screenplay, because for us, we find that the story really starts to unfurl while we're doing it.
Mm.
And so a lot of it really has to do with what we're discovering, and the editing. Well, John, you'll answer that. You're our editor.
well, I think Toby's right. I think that everything is organic, from Lulu and I building the sets to the way we talk about the movie. We love to paint with the camera. So at the same side is when we get home, we like the editing to be organic. So we look at it and it kind of tells you what needs to be cut and what needs to come after what. So I feel like the editing process is definitely something that is organic. The only thing that sometimes locks us into edits is music. So we love using music to help guide our narrative. And we have a certain style when we cut to music.
Mm.
So I would say if there's ever any kind of like laws, it's once we drop the music in, it's like we edit to it. And it's
Right.
something that we really enjoy doing.
Mm. But that worked really well. Like, as I said at the beginning, right? You go from the noises where the devil roams, and then you go boom, 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 boom. And I'm just like, oh, what's happening? And it's just like, firstly, it's just like, oh shit, where can I get that song? Right? I'm thinking that song, and then you got Zelda walking, and then you're just following that kind of aspect of it, and it just, it fits really well. I think one of my biggest pet peeves, right, watching different films and TV shows, is the fact that people want to shoe in music, and it's just like, people, this is a sad scene, okay? We're
Right.
happy now,
Yeah.
right? And that bugs the hell out of me. So I really enjoy when you're watching something, and the music isn't that. The music is another player on screen, right? It's this new element that is just elevating things and not trying to dictate your emotions.
Thank you
That
for
is really
that. That's
cool.
so important to us.
Where did the music come from? Like, are you working on music, and then a film script comes along and you're thinking, oh, actually that song could work? Or do you write the songs once you have an idea for a story and think, what kind of music would go with this film or in this era or with these people?
This time we knew what our visual tone was going to be, and we wanted to have a audio tone to match. And so we talked a lot about it, and we came to the decision, like, we didn't want to have our music kind of like a ballad here and a disco beat here and a heavy metal song here. We wanted to have a sound. So we worked really hard on the sound, and I think it's just an amalgamation of all of our interests. And it came to me, it's a very kind of heavy stoner vibe with ethereal vocals laid on top. And it just worked for the tone of the film. And so we wrote, I think, like 15 to 20 songs in that style.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of funny because you'd think with the era in which the film is set, that you might be like an "Oh Brother, We're Out Now" kind of style would work. Like, I think if someone told you, like, oh yeah, we're gonna set a film here and the music is gonna be like this kind of, and you'd be like, what? That's not gonna work. What are you talking about? And then you're just hearing "Cut Me If You Love Me," and it's just like, what? What?
I love your attention to detail. You don't know how pounding our hearts are with your attention to detail.
Oh man, I just really enjoyed it, and it's just the way all of these elements come together. You know, the thing that I noticed that was different again from the last film was there was a kind of a musical flow to a lot of the dialogue. And was that an intentional thing?
I don't think it was intentional, but I love poetry. I think words are art. And so with the poem in the beginning and then the incantation that Mr. Tips says and eventually Zelda at the end, which we finally turned into song. To me, poetry is music as well. And so anytime we can kind of, I'm a geek for that. Anytime we can fix that into our films, which we do in The Deeper You Dig as well, we have poetry there as well through the book. You know, I'm all for it.
Yeah, no, it really worked. Really worked. Like, what were some of the biggest challenges for this film?
That's a good question.
Numb hands.
Yeah, I think numb hands,
Cold
numb
shots.
bodies, trying to decide at what point numb goes to hypothermia to getting a limb cut off. And generally we decided, don't ask that question, keep going.
The Chevy, the 1931 Chevy, which was our like Norma Desmond star of the movie, sometimes you weren't sure if it was going to work, or you might have to like all push it to get out of the snow.
And this is obvious. Well, it wasn't licensed or anything too. So it was like, we're bombing down the road. And it was like, if this car breaks down or anything fucking goes wrong, we're fucked. So it was pretty funny. Luckily,
we were inventive. Like Lulu, tell them about like with the branches and everything.
Oh yeah, like the car, I think the battery died. Like this great old car that his dad owned, you know, it was convenient, it was free. It was like broken down, could drive in the snow, and these people came to watch us that day film.
yeah.
Our dynamic, and we were like, fuck. Bring something up real quick. And we had to get this driving shot where it looked like they were driving past things in the reflection of the windshield. And so we grabbed some dead branches off the floor, and we would run back and forth, John and I, running in front of the car window back and forth. Okay, go twist it a little bit so it looks a little different.
Yeah.
And then we'd sit on the car and press it down so it looked like they were moving a little bit on the road.
But
Oh
it's a
man.
shot. It's a
It worked.
wicked, wonderful shot. It looks like it's cruising through under branches, you know?
Yeah, you never would have guessed that. That's crazy.
Good job.
That's- But inventive. How long? Like how, you know, when something like that happens, right? How long does it take for the fix to come?
You know, I think the fix is what's fun. We love problem solving. I think like it's like a sports game. It's like this is all just kind of a sport. You show up and you try to get things done, and problems are where the art comes in. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I remember I come from theater. Whenever someone would forget our lines, it would be the best moments on stage because you had to just suddenly really be in the moment. It's not like you were going to say, "All right, take 10." No, you have to like think fast, and then there's this wonderful infusion of energy. So that kind of injection of creativity and impulse and energy, we kind of thrive on. So you just bring those fuck ups to us. We're like ready.
And also, it was so cold, and none of the places that we work have electricity or heat. So it's like the actors were so. We and them were so damn cold that like you can't act that. Like it's like they were such great sports, but they look fucking miserable. And it's like, but everyone was like, it was like, do you want to go back to the house? And they're like, no, let's just like do it. I'm so frozen, but let's just do it. And it shows on their face. And guess what? In the Depression, that's the way everybody looked. So it was perfect.
Yeah, no, there's no happiness.
No,
there's no real happiness there. You know what I mean? That's a hard life. So yeah. Now, I think the big question is, right, Lulu, do you still, or was it Zelda? I forget now. But what are your boyfriends still good, right? Because I think I read that there's a scene. One of your boyfriends is covered in snow, and your dad is murdering him. So, was that really in the script, or are you just like, I don't want her to date this dude? Right? What can we do? Right? What?
It's so funny. I feel like maybe it was a kind of great initiation into our family vibe. I mean, my boyfriend, he's got a great look, and I think I always thought he would be a really good actor, and he always wanted to be in one of our films. And it's like, all right, well, if you want to be in one of our films, you gotta die
through the gauntlet, young man.
Yeah. And I mean,
yeah, it's very funny because fathers love standing on the sidelines and saying things like, so what did you do like when you first met your daughter's first boyfriend? I can say, I cut his fucking head off with a rusty saw. And then they're like, holy shit, I don't know if this guy's for real or not.
No, and you're not lying.
And I'm not lying. that.
It's so funny though, but Lulu's boyfriend too worked very hard on the set for this film. So I feel like that also was a kind of initiation, having to freeze so bad out there, break some wood,
and do all the drone footage. He's our drone cinematographer.
Yeah, and like one day learned that we were like, hey, this is what you're gonna do, and it was like,
right,
I don't know how to do this.
Hey, Lulu's boyfriend, come on, sit down. We need a drone operator, and you're it. Let's go. Actually, we got a couple hours, so hit that YouTube channel, figure it out.
Yep, we tested them.
Hey, but at least you're with good ones, right? Because they'd have just been like, yeah, we're going. I'm too busy for it. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You know where you stand now. That's golden.
Yeah.
Now the visual effects were great. Right. And I mean, you've spoken about the good work Trey does, but it was just the hand, the leg, just all of those things look so just crazy. So crazy. Like how much time goes into kind of conceiving those shots and making them look real, because it looked like things were getting shot, right? Yeah. It didn't look fake or anything like that. So it's just like, yeah, how much time kind of goes into getting those things right?
Those took a ton of time. They took a ton of thought, because once you cut through things, you can't ever go back. So there's a lot of talking and camera setups to not make mistakes because we didn't want to cut away. We've been on the festival circuit now for quite a while with all of our movies, and one of the things we all got turned on to was the artistry of violence and like who does it well, who has to cut away, who uses like computer graphics, and it's like we wanted to not cut away and we wanted to cut through real things. And so number one, we found a great prosthetics guy who would send us body parts, and they were always opened by the post office, which was really crazy. And but they always did get delivered, but completely opened. And he did a great job. So it started with that, but then you have to be really careful about when you do the act of violence because you only have one shot. And so I think we fucked up a couple times, but mostly we did it, and we just planned everything out.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, because it didn't feel like it was over the top, like you were going to the well over and over again, so when these things happened, there was that, oh shit, like you didn't see that coming, and it's just like, oh, which was I thought that worked really well with the story.
And we wanted to balance the violence out. Like we weren't just like, yeah, let's just gratuitous violence. Like we were hoping that every act of violence had either the counterbalance of either love or hard payback.
Yeah, because looking at the family, right, you didn't feel that they were this maniacal group. It just seemed like this loving group, and then suddenly something like that, and you'd be like, what? But then it was just like, hey, I think I saw some clothes upstairs that might fit you. Why don't you go have a look? And you're just like, wait, huh? What is happening? They seem real chill right now.
They've got each other's backs. I mean, Seven can't even stand the sight of blood anymore, and he's married to a serial killer. But you can do what you got to do to support your loved ones. And Eve turns her mother's carnage into art. And yet the mother wants her daughter to make the big time, and they do what it takes to stay together and love each other.
Yeah. So, yeah, Zelda, how did this story come about?
It came about after Lulu and I watched season 4 of American Horror Story. That's the freak show season. I think I was kind of young when we watched it, and the clown scared the fuck out of me. I huge credits to them for making such a great antagonist character. But with psychology major that Lulu is, helped me kind of deal with these nightmares and say hey, try to think about, try to rationalize this clown. So I started to try and think about, maybe the clown isn't such a bad guy. Maybe he's got a family. Maybe he's actually the protagonist in another story. And then that kind of sprung a new idea of oh my God, imagine a family of clowns just traveling on a circuit and they're flawed. They're clowns and they do messed up things, but also they're wonderful and they're a happy family. And so I brought that idea to my family, and like a lot of things, some ideas stick and some don't. The idea of a family on the carnival circuit did stick. The clown thing didn't stick. But I'm grateful that it actually didn't, because that would have been so much work dressing up as a clown every day in winter when it's freezing. I'm very happy we didn't do that.
Yeah.
So when the clown idea was just okay, maybe not clowns, how was the transition to what we then get?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
I remember, because we talked about this a lot, and you really wanted us to be clowns. And I kept saying, yeah, but Zelda, we're going to be dressed as clowns for 6 months. Do you, all day long, we're going to sleep in clown makeup. And she's like, yeah, that could be hard. So what we did was, it really helped the story actually, because this family really uses the carny circuit to travel between homicides. They're more hiding amongst the the hidden, and so it was a perfect way because we didn't want them to be good performers. We didn't actually want them to be like good clowns or good at anything except for her murderer. And so that worked out for us. And then we were able to still have clowns, but they were side characters, and we were able to have all these different like those characters, and it was helpful to the story because it showed that those characters actually were, mind readers and tattooed ladies and clowns and performers, where these guys were just hiding amongst them.
Yeah. No, it was really interesting because that was a thing. Because when like they're performing, you're like, okay, Eve can sing, but what's Maggie and Seven doing? You know what I mean? It was just like, wait, what's happening here? Like, huh?
So bad.
Yeah, but it's all about Eve, and also, the carnival circuit is a good way for them to keep moving after Maggie does her kills. So it's sort of like Maggie doesn't take it that seriously until the act gets bloody, and then there's kind of this strange twist there that they're getting all this attention, but they're dealing with a lot of pain. And then that's just sort of the nature of, people are attracted to the gruesome.
Yeah, it definitely takes a turn. Like it definitely takes a turn, which was it was because I think there's certain points of the film where you might think, "Ooh, could this happen?" And the thing happens in a way, but not anywhere where you kind of thought it might go. And especially the end, because you're just thinking, okay, this is messed up. Like, how are they gonna fit? Oh, they could do this. And so, we see Eve walking, and you're just thinking, oh yeah, so is it gonna be that? Is it gonna? And then when you cut to, you're like, okay, I wasn't thinking that. What the fuck just happened? Like, that was a crazy way to end. Like, was that always the ending, or like how many shifts came before we got to that?
Great question. That ending happened because it demanded to happen, is what, like, because we always keep the ending of our movies open so that we can talk about them, because like we keep saying, it's always an organic process. So we didn't know what the ending was, but as we started to see where this movie was going, we realized what had to happen. And it was kind of like, and we did have a discussion like, oh man, like this is gonna piss some people off. But it was kind of like, but it has to happen. It has to end this way. Right? I mean, what do you think about how we finally came to this decision to do it?
We kind of just had it like a burst of inspiration one day that's how it had to end. And I think we still had quite a bit of the meat of the movie to even like still shoot. But we knew we wanted to lead to that end, that it was the perfect, not only kind of shocking, but it could be seen different ways. I mean, you've got this, I don't want to give too much away, but you've got the best of Seven has been taken away. The best of Maggie has been taken away. For Seven, it's his brains. For Maggie, it's her brawn and her body. And in the end, Eve has her perfect doll, and perhaps the devil too will be reunited with his mortal love.
Yeah, because the underlying question of this movie is, who is the puppeteer? Like, is it Eve or is it the devil? And that final product still makes, we want two people to drive home together and both of them to disagree on what just happened.
Yeah, I think it because that was the kind of the thing with the ending, because it kind of seemed like it was a manifestation of what Eve had been working on throughout the film, which was, it's just all those things. I remember when Eve's talking to Mr. Tips and he's just like, your cuts are all wrong. And there's a bit where, and it was just a quick scene. It wasn't like this long scene with this big build up, but she's got that doll and you just see it chop the hand. And then and there's this look of like contentment and happiness on Eve's face, and you're just like, and then it cuts, and you're like, God damn, like I do not want to meet these people anywhere dark.
You just make sure you give them your fire hose, then you're fine.
Yeah, just give them the radiator hose.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the other big thing, because even though these horrific things are happening, like you can see how it's justified with them. Yeah, because there was nothing to anyone that was nice, right? The people, were all shitty, and it's just like, no, just go up the road and don't bother us, or I took your farm because, and it was just like all of these bad things. You can be like, yeah, I can see how they got there. I maybe would have talked a little bit more first, but I can see how they went with that.
Yeah.
And what about with the color transitions? How did you work all of that out?
Well, artistically and technically, Trey Lindsay did the transition from full color to full 1920s black and white. And I loved when he said he could do it. It was kind of like, okay, well, let's see what it looks like. And when he showed us the first little rendition, it was incredible. So, and it was important to us, and it was very important to this was Zelda's idea. And when I first did the first edit, me and Trey didn't put it to black and white. And Zelda looked at it and she was like, why isn't it fading to black and white? And we were like, oh, because it looks so good. And she's like, well, I don't want to see it until it fades to black and white, because that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And why was that so important to you, Zelda? Like, how did that come in the vision of this film?
Yeah, I always, thought I saw it in some film. I don't know what, where it went from black and white to color because the story was coming alive, and I love that idea always. But having this story, things are not coming alive. Things are getting really dead and deteriorating and getting very dark. Things are going bad. So I really wanted to put that into visual form with this transition from color to black and white. And then especially with the last shot of the film, it goes back to color. And I really wanted, I think it's great because people earn that color and are like, oh, something's different. What's going on? Why is there a changing color?
Yep.
Yeah.
Kevin, Fantasia is telling us that we have to go to a different interview, I guess, apparently, which sucks because we love talking to you.
Yeah, literally.
No. This has been a joy. I was so glad I got to speak to you guys again. So yeah, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that.
Before where do you live in? Where do you live?
I'm in London.
Oh, good, because we're going to be coming to Fright Fest. If there's any chance we could take you to lunch or something, we would love to see you in person if there's any chance.
End of August.
Just let me know when you're coming, and I'll definitely make sure I'm free. Because that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome just to say hello to you guys, and thank you for making such great friggin' films and music, man.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. This has been wonderful, and we'll see you in London. Let's go out for some fish and chips.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if I have your email, but I can get it if I don't from from the Yellow Veil guys.
Yeah. I'll send it across. So people, go to the website. Make sure you follow these guys because keep them turning out incredible stuff. All right. So Where the Devils Roams, Zelda, Toby, Lulu, John, you're incredible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin.
So much.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye.